Welcome to this episode of Sunny's Silver Linings. Sunny's guest today is Marnie Stockman, CEO of Lifecycle Insights. In part one of this incredible interview with Marnie, they chat about current MSP problems and ways to solve them, scaling without adding too many members to your team, and so much more. And now, the founder and CEO of IT by Design, Sunny Kayla.
Marnie, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I know we met at Evolve, and I think it was January. And and we talked about this, and here we are. And I am super excited with having this conversation because customer experience is what really makes you different as a business. And at the end of the day, the check writer will only cut a check if they are having the right experience, no matter what product you sell, no matter how what kind of product you have and what impact you're making. But at the end of the day, is that feeling, is that experience that you deliver, that is what keeps your business going and grow and create that value for everyone, right, for that business. So I am super excited about this topic. And so where I want to start, Marnie, today is tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into this business?
Sure. So, the usual path by starting as a high school math teacher. So that's not actually the usual path at all, but that was the path for me for sure. So started as a math teacher, ended up as an administrator where I worked on ed tech software with the school district. So all data, testing, analytics, et cetera. I ended up doing that in front of the owner of a piece of ed tech software, and he thought I should come work for him. It was interesting because if you asked him why I needed to work for the software company, he would say that I was a good English to English translator, which seems odd until you think about customer success, right? And what does a customer success team do, especially in the IT space? They translate engineer English into business English and back again, right? So engineering IT is very different than business IT, right? There are a lot of words that don't make sense to one or the other. Yeah. And he felt like that's what I brought to the party. So I ran customer success for his company, and it got acquired 3 times. So in the gobblings of acquisitions, we would double in size every time and not double in staff. As a matter of fact, some of those acquisitions, they would cut the staff. And so you really learn how to scale processes, how to grow people, and really find some tools to make that happen quickly. So after the 3rd acquisition, some of the developers and I decided we'd like to start our own company. And we started looking around. One night I happened to be playing volleyball with folks I'd played volleyball with for 20 years, but one of them happened to be an MSP, who I knew as an IT guy, and didn't know much more than that, frankly. And I said, hey, Alex, are there any problems in the managed service space that needs solving, especially in the area of data, analytics, reporting, et cetera? And he kind of put his hands on his hips and said, you know what, actually, yes. I spent 6 hours a day cobbling together a QBR report. And then he started throwing out all these acronyms for my PSA and my RMM, and I use IT glue. And I did not know what any of those letters meant, but he basically said, cobbling together of data, which I understood. I now know that's probably an industry term as much as I hear it in prospect calls. And so we took a look at the problem that needed solving, and we decided to start Lifecycle Insights. So that is how I went from a high school math teacher to CEO of a SaaS startup company for business, IT business owners.
Yeah, so no, that's very interesting to me. Like, how can you double or triple the size without adding people? That's the dream of every entrepreneur, especially managed service providers, where margins are low and labor cost has been going really, really up. And that is a bigger challenge this year than ever before, where your labor cost is very high. And how do you and customers are not agreeing to price increases. So this is even more interesting and more it's need of the hour right now, that how can you structure your customer experience right without adding too many people. And that's where I'm going to go there. But before we go there, what problem are you solving for managed service providers? You said, okay, we are solving a problem. What is that problem?
Yeah, so we're really helping them deliver strategy to their partners. So we automate the QBR, the business review. You don't have to call them QBRs, but that's what people Google. So, strategic business reviews, technical business reviews. So we aim to automate that and to help them deliver strategy. And it's very different from having just a technical report, but to have a strategic conversation and work with goal setting with your clients to really make you that trusted advisor. So you always hear, oh, I want to be a strategic partner. I want to be a trusted advisor.
Yeah.
We believe the problem we solve is helping MSPs actually do that.
So translate that engineer English to business English.
Yeah.
Make it easier, right, to understand.
Exactly. Give you easy red, yellow, green reporting that execs understand, right? They do not care about flux capacitors and petaflops and gigawatts and all those other things. They understand business risk and business goals, and let's align the technology roadmap to that.
Yeah. So how do you define, first of all, customer experience?
So customer experience, I'm going to call it customer success. And I'm going to say customer success is two parts. So I was a math teacher. So here's my equation. Customer success equals customer experience plus customer outcomes. So the experience part is how they relate to you. It's interesting. I saw a statistic that said enterprise companies will expect 85% of their relationship with their enterprise partners, which I would include an IT company consultant will be automated, and 15% will be human to human. And so you figure the experience is the portal, the ticketing system, the email notifications they receive, the marketing, on and on. 15% is really that business review, the conversation, the relationship the IT business owner has with the CEO of the company, and the relationships within the company, right? That the account managers, the sales folks have. So I think the experience is both the automated pieces, right? The information you're getting from the company, but also the relationship piece. So that's the experience piece. And then the outcome piece is the real driver of that relationship. Because if you can align your experience to what the business cares about, their outcomes, their goals, their reduction, elimination of risk, that's what those two things tied together is what drives customer success.
So when you look at your equation, I love it. That's a very easy way to understand. CS is equal to CX plus CO. Yeah. That is outcomes, customer success plus customer outcomes, right? So with customer success, you mentioned scaling your overall company without adding a lot of people. So what I understand from overall customer success teams structure is that you have X number of accounts that you need to manage. You need to make sure that you understand the sentiment of the customer and whatever accounts are assigned to you, and you have that high touch. But then there is a limit that you have, which is 40 hours a week. So you overall look at, okay, that person has this much bandwidth and that person can handle these many accounts. If there are major accounts, you assign less. If there are smaller accounts, you assign more. So I want to learn a little bit more that how can you scale it without adding too many people in your team?
That's what every business owner asks, exactly that question. It's interesting when it happened to us, right? We got acquired and we literally overnight doubled our client base without doubling any staff. My business partner, Nick, not Alex, but another one, and I actually went through a spreadsheet and started writing down metrics and ways to determine if a client was going to be expensive or not. And by expensive, I mean, how much of a lift are they on, the customer success team themselves, right? So what is the effort it's going to take to manage this particular client. And in doing that, we started looking for patterns. And what we found was that the really small clients had the same types of needs, and the really large clients had the same types of needs. And if we could step back one more time, maybe we could find a way to do that in bulk. So the very first thing you do, I talk about the process maturity model a lot. Something needs to go from undefined process to a manual process to a digital process. And then if you can jump to automation, you can really transform the work. So we started talking about segmenting the client base. So we look at dividing our clients, not just by value. So some folks make the mistake of thinking your highest paying clients all need the same type of thing. Not always, because in the IT business, what most folks know is that there's an effort level that you also need to count as a variable. So we would put it on an XY axis. Again, I get out my whiteboard, and in my top right quadrant, I've got my high value, high effort clients. And in my lower left quadrant, I've got my low value, low effort clients. But when you start putting your clients there and really taking a look, and let's look at that lower left quadrant. You said the smaller clients don't need the same amount of, face-to-face interaction, but they still do have needs. So now you look at what can I do in bulk, or what can I automate that still provides them the same service that my top high value, high effort clients need. So we find, I joked that QBRs are not the best name for business reviews because not all of them need to be done quarterly, right? So setting the right cadence for each of your segments is really important. So those low value, low effort clients yearly should have some kind of business review. It could be, now everybody Zooms or team meetings, so that's much easier for all. And maybe it's an email, but what else you need to do is what are the other communications that they need to have? Should we automate asset lifecycle management reporting? Should we automate a ticket summary, right? Like, what could we automate and send to them? What can we remarket to them? This is a great opportunity to re-engage so that they remember the value you're bringing to them without actually having to pick up a phone and call them. So you could do a marketing campaign. It's MFA month, right? Like, okay, just a friendly reminder why we're all doing MFA, and this is the value we're bringing to you and how we're protecting your business. Just that remarketing message reminds them, like, oh, right, Sunday's saving us from all of these things, and a friendly reminder, right? So you can start to automate pieces when you look at the pattern for what each of those groups need. The high value, high effort clients, they should get quarterly business reviews. They might get monthly business reviews. I had a client that was $1.7 million a year, and they got quarterly business reviews with the senior execs. They had monthly meetings with the directors, and then they had weekly checkpoints with project managers. So when you scale without staff, you have to really determine the right cadence for each group so that you're not over communicating with the ones that just want an automated, like, I just need an email, I'm doing lots of things, versus the ones that do need the handhold touch. Because to your point, when you're looking at them based on their sentiment, if one of those top right quadrant folks goes red in terms of their health or sentiment, that puts them in jeopardy. And risk of churn is the number one thing a customer success person is trying to avoid.
So what I hear you say is that you put your clients in different buckets or different, so categorize them, and then use technology for low value customers, right? And then overall look at 360 of their account health, and then set the cadence. So cadence will save you a lot of man hours or a lot of labor hours. And in terms of reducing that dependency on your team members, and your team members can probably do more high value tasks, right? Where they can make a bigger impact by using technology and knowing what accounts to focus on.
Thanks for listening, and join us next week for part 2 with Marnie Stockman.